So seemingly individual, the individual becomes a mathematical unit of a certain coherence. In a certain system, at least. In the system for which Ian J. McCullough had attained professional distinction, at least. Though he never admitted it in public, but spoke of it readily enough in private to his friends, Ian had always thought it rather terrifying that unrelated individuals, wholly unaware of one another, nonetheless cooperated in a collective destiny. Was there any other human phenomenon more mysterious, in fact, and terrifying? So many residents of a delimited geographic space will, in a delimited period of time, die of heart disease, cancer, AIDS, be victims of robbery, theft, assault, arson, murder, commit crimes themselves, commit suicide. Ian's own father, with whom Ian had never been close, had drifted away from the family when Ian was a boy, and was gone for years when news came of his death, and it was years later that Ian learned, accidentally, that his father had not died a natural death. Not even an alcoholic's natural death. He had committed suicide. Had shot himself in the mouth with a borrowed .45 caliber revolver. The knowledge had made little impression on Ian, since by that time he had more or less forgotten his father, to the degree to which he suspected his father had forgotten him and the family. Demography was not Ian McCullough's first love. Pure historical research into 19th century post-Civil War America was his first love, and as he had been telling his associates for years, he intended to return to it some day soon. As soon as he completed the study at hand, acquitted himself of his numerous professional responsibilities, broke free of certain commitments. The journal, for instance, would be particularly difficult to give up. Ian had raised it from its prior status as an exponential and footnote-laden academic publication with a modest circulation, mainly to university libraries, to its current status as a publication of far more general interest and some controversy. Not only eagerly read by, but contributed to by, the most renowned specialists in the field. "My success is my problem," he said, and his friends laughed with him and agreed, for many of them were burdened with the same problem. They were, like Ian McCullough, successes in their fields, well into middle age, yet still youthful, comfortably well off beyond all dreams and expectations of graduate student days, yet still ambitious. Though ambitious for what, none could have said. Glynnis McCullough, Ian's wife, a food expert and a compiler of regional and ethnic cookbooks of uncommon originality and pictorial beauty, for Glynnis so loved what she did, at least while she did it, she could not entrust the design of her books to others, believed that they were, all of them, hungry, that ambition was in fact hunger, very nearly visceral, physiological, real. And since hunger is nature, it is surely natural, isn't it? The McCulloughs had one child, one surviving child, a daughter, Bianca, now 19 years old. Another child, a boy, had died only a few days after birth, so many years ago now that Ian consoled himself with the possibility that the hurt and bitterness and inchoate rage that still rose in him at the memory, a rush of unwanted and even dreaded adrenaline in his veins, was factitious and not genuine. What he believed as a sonless father he should feel, and not, 15 years later, after all, what he did feel. For surely he was recovered from the shock and grief by now. As Glynnis gave every sign, and had done so for years, of being recovered. "Just don't think about it, Ian," she'd said. "Think of other things. There is a world, after all," she'd said, smiling, "of other things." But he was no longer young. He would be 50 years old in April, and this had something to do with it. Not compulsive thoughts, but luxuriant thoughts, of loss, grief, hurt, resentment. In his office on the top floor of the Institute, Ian McCullough's desk faced a large plate-glass window. He was not among the Spartan-minded of his colleagues who insisted upon facing blank walls, out of a fear of being distracted.